So when looking at all of those different approaches, just as it would be irresponsible, to be in talk therapy without making sure that you don't need medication, I think it's also sort of making work harder for yourself if you don't find out that it might not actually be a nutritional deficiency or something else that's going on in your system that's provoking that reaction in your mind and in your body, that's taking on the appearance of that eating disorder because, the way that you absorb your food, if you're actually not absorbing your food, if you have a deficiency of magnesium, which is causing you to have low self-esteem, but rather when you finally do get that sorted out, you don't really have an emotional issue. It's the way that your body is expressing that deficiency. Um, then you've kind of jumped through hoops that you didn't really need to. And that's what I found out it happened to me. So, being diagnosed with eating disorders that I was when I was a teenager, um, I went through all different kinds of talk therapy, and I never went through any medication type therapy. But if I had known that there were really deficiencies in the way that my body was absorbing nutrition, I never would have even bothered have gone with those other kinds of talk therapies, because really I never even needed them once I was able to take care of the nutritional deficiencies. And the same is true for a couple of other things that are listed in some of these books that I'm going to refer to. One of them has to do with infections of yeast or fungus. Sorry, my son again. And another, here, I might just have to bring him up. And other ones that have to do with allergies. And that when you, my doctor explained to me that people will often crave what they are actually allergic to. And I find very common, whatever someone's comfort food happens to be, is the thing that, let's say, if they're a bulimic, that they will binge on. And when they binge on that food, they of course get a physiological reaction. They literally feel sick. Because why else would the brain literally tell you it's time to throw up? Yes, there are all kinds of reasons as far as the low self-esteem and all the other types of reactions that are happening that are making the person desiring to throw up or purge in whatever way that they do. But wouldn't it make sense that if you were allergic to something, you would want to get it out of your system as fast as you could? So I'm just going to throw that idea past you and let it roll around in your mind, and I'll refer to some of these books. The one where I first read that really made sense to me, that is a great nutritional psychology handbook, I would call it, is The Mood Cure. And The Mood Cure was written by Julia Ross, and she also wrote The Diet Cure. And The Diet Cure and all these have to do with natural means, natural supplements that she uses, and particularly she talks about using amino acids. Amino acids being the building blocks that the brain uses to provide the neurotransmitters. Now, one of the things about the neurotransmitters, when you're using an antidepressant, for instance, most of them will work on serotonin, but the one that really is the big difference for people, especially if they're overweight or dieting, and Eric Braverman talks about that very much in The Edge Effect, is that dopamine is the neurotransmitter of the brain that needs to be balanced if you want to lose or gain weight, if you want to balance your weight, if you want your weight to be balanced. And even Dr. Amen also talks about that an unbalanced brain will produce an unbalanced weight, and that dopamine is the key to that. So if you know what the corresponding amino acid is that your brain could be deficient, and let's say it doesn't produce it, or it's not even processing it from the foods that you're taking in, when you supplement the needed one in the form of an amino acid, that the brain finally has the building blocks to create that neurotransmitter and will release that neurotransmitter. So you've kind of got a leg up. Trying to do it the other way through power of will and talk therapy, you're never going to achieve it, because no matter how much you talk, you're not going to create the chemistry of the brain that's going to coordinate all of those things to occur. Now, that's notwithstanding hormonal issues and some other issues that cause weight gain and weight loss. But taking all those into consideration, it's something to look at when you're approaching any kind of eating disorder or weight loss or weight gain, because an imbalanced brain is not going to let go of weight, because it's going to always be in that stress mode where it won't let go of weight. So like me, if you're a person that you've had problems with your weight afterwards, it isn't so much necessarily that you've ruined your metabolism, but rather that you need to get your brain chemistry in order. And that doesn't have to always be with synthetic chemicals that the pharmacy pumps out. In fact, it's so much better when you can finally give the chemistry to your brain that it needs to create those chemicals for itself, so that you finally do feel balanced. And that's the thing that I've been finally experiencing for myself. The other one, and I just going to talk about it briefly, are infections. And the best thing that I have ever found to normalize that for myself, having to do with candida, is using cultured foods. And that is in another book, Body Ecology Diet, and that's by Donna. And that has also normalized a lot of different health problems that I've had, and have finally caused me to be able to lose weight without even trying anymore. So that's another approach that you can do. So just wanting to touch on these briefly, and I can definitely try to answer questions if anybody has any. And I would love to hear your comments back and your experiences. Please put any ideas you have in the comments below, and I look forward to a dialogue with you. Thanks so much for listening, and I look wishing you the best of health, bright blessings. Take care. Bye.